Hey, what's up, guys? Zach Calhoun here. Excited today because I'm going to share with you an interview with a CloudPano Pro Plus member, Heather Inkins. We're walking through a story today, how she went from a brand new virtual tour, 360 virtual tour provider, to her first $200,000 in signed contracts, and how she's going around town creating these virtual tours for only two companies and all the other prospective companies that she has coming her way. What I love about this interview is how we talk about mindset, her background as a coach, no photography background, but her understanding of the psychology of how to push through, how to gain confidence over time, how to not be self-critical, how to take action. There's all these little things, little nuggets that she talks about. And if you read into it and listen and watch what she's talking about, think about it in your own business, it just makes sense. Also, we break down pricing models, what pricing models she used to get large hosting and maintenance fees over time, how to get setup fees the way that made sense for her client and obviously for her business, and then how she closes down new contracts as well and stirs up new projects. She's involved in her community. She gives back. She knows how to invest in her company and invest in her business up front, and she expects long-term results and doesn't necessarily think it's going to all come, just by willy-nilly or become easily or be perfect every time. So I just love this interview, love the mindset, love how Heather thinks. We had a great conversation, and really, I just kind of asked her whatever came to my mind and got the story. So if you're brand new or you're a seasoned pro, I think you're going to benefit from this interview. If you're a seasoned pro, you're going to pick up some nuggets about how you can get add some pricing models to your business that make sense also to your client. If you're brand new, you should be inspired because it only should take you 90 days to close your first big client, right? We all know things take work, but hey, enjoy the interview. I had a great time doing it. I want you to get better, right? So keep hustling, keep working, get inspired today. I'll see you there. Hey guys, welcome back to the greatest show on earth. I'm just kidding. It's Zach Calhoun with CloudPano.com. I hope you're doing well today. Today I have a special guest interview. Her name is Heather. I'll let her introduce herself in a moment. With Matador Digital. Is that correct?
Matador Digi, yeah.
Digi? Okay, cool. I like that. It's one of our success stories. We're really excited to have you here to kind of walk through your story, talk about who you are. You can really talk about whatever you want, but my goal today is to talk about kind of where you come from and how you're selling virtual tours. And obviously I want to highlight the big contract you were just awarded. So it's going to be super inspiring, I think, for a lot of people, especially those out there who are maybe brand new and just getting started and trying to see, hey, where can I take this thing? And then how do I structure something so that I have success? So I have a big vision, because at first things are always hard, right? But over time, they get easier, especially if you get a bigger break like you did. So I'm really excited today to have you on the show or this video call or whatever you want to call it, this interview.
Thank you.
Heather's a BTPS member, a CloudPano Pro Plus member. But overall, the point of today is to just help the people we can. So introduce yourself, tell them about what you're doing, what your story is, and then how you got started, and we'll go from there. Okay?
All right. So I'm Heather Inkins. I run Matador Digi, and I did not start from a photography background like I think a lot of people you hear have, which hopefully that helps some people to be like, oh, I don't have to have a photography background. No, you just need to have really good access to some really good people on Upwork, to be honest with you. How this started. So I chose a niche based on where I came out of. I came out of a real estate investment firm as their asset manager, and they actually sold off all of their properties here at the beginning, mid-COVID time. And so I was kind of sitting there twiddling my thumbs and took a few months off, and then decided that I needed to look for a place. And those little virtual tours that you see online that are slideshows weren't doing it for me. So just got talking to some people, and actually a friend, and we went back and forth a little bit, and it took me about 15 minutes to be like, this is cool. And I actually went to everybody. I went online. I'm like, hey, top virtual tour software companies, and CloudPano did come up. Do I remember exactly where? No, I'm sure it came up in one of those techie type websites. Matterport was in the conversation already, because the person I was with actually, which is how I got in, is the president of a property management company. Mm-hmm. And she showed me a Matterport tour and was like, hey, you can do it with your cell phone. I was like, that seems like cool. I don't know. It seems okay for kids. But so I went and I looked, and I'm going to be honest up front, because I knew nothing about anything when it comes to photography. Went with CloudPano, went with Zach. I didn't even go with CloudPano. I went with Zach because you were responsive and I could communicate with you, and I didn't wait 2-3 weeks for some type of, oh, hey, we noticed that we're looking for information. I was like, yeah, that was 3 weeks ago. I'm already way into some classes here. Thank you very much. So customer service guys, that's always a huge thing. That's why I'm with CloudPano where I'm at. I can always offer Matterport, and I can offer the 3D Vista. Well, I don't do the 3D Vista. I have somebody else do it. I don't even put those as an offer unless I feel like the client is looking for a different direction to go. So, So that's kind of my story. It's how they started.
Yeah. So it sounded like you had a connection of a large property management company, of probably a friend, I'm guessing, in the past. Y'all kind of talked about the technology, kind of, chopped up about what you could possibly do in this space. Okay, cool. Awesome. So let's fast forward then. Well, let's go backwards actually. What's your background?
If you ask anybody, I'm a coach. That is truly my background. If you go and you look anywhere, you'll see coaching pictures. I've coached mainly lacrosse for over 25 years.
Cool.
So
tell me about what it's like coaching lacrosse, because we're in Texas, which is funny. I'm in Houston. Lacrosse is around, but it ain't very popular. I know it's more popular up north. What's it like? Is it just like, is it super popular? Is it a lot of fun coaching? Do you, is it something that...
Well, so I lived in New York, and I actually picked it up in New York, in a small little town on the Finger Lakes, and everybody says that they're born with sticks in their hands type of deal. So I actually picked it up there. I have several children, and the varsity coach came to me and said, hey, if you want your little girls, my young girls, which I had 3, to keep playing, you got to coach them. And at the time I was running I owned a sporting good business. And I was like, well, I played sports in college, basketball. I don't know anything. She's like, you don't need to know anything. The referees will tell you when you do something wrong. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So that was a blast. I went from there to did some collegiate coaching, and then went overseas. Spent a year with the German national team. Cool. Did some coaching there, and then was done with the cold. So I came back and I moved to Arizona. And if Arizona lacrosse is probably less than smaller than the Texas lacrosse. And I do a lot with the U.S. Lacrosse Foundation too, as far as training and, cool. Coaching, training the trainers type of deal.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. I like sporting backgrounds. I have a sports background as well too, in baseball.
So much you learn on the field. That's
right. You do. How not to quit, how to get knocked down, get back up. There's a lot of those cliche things, but yeah, usually it's like, I think the analogy I use the most is growth comes through pain. When you push through a little bit of pain, there's a lot of growth there. So the entrepreneurs out there who are afraid of pain, go get a job, because entrepreneurship's not for you.
Listen, whenever you're in pain, or you're like, oh, you're feeling all, and I get that. I get that on a couple times a week. I get the feeling of, what the heck am I doing? And a little bit of anxiety, people will call it, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm at a position that I haven't been at before, and I've got an opportunity to either step forward and know that if I make a mistake, it's not going to be huge and I'm going to learn from it, or step back and not grow. And, we all take steps back or stay in the same place. That happens once in a while, but the more you do it, the more you realize that next step, it gets a little bit better, and you feel a lot better than you would, because it's just going to give you that opportunity again to move forward. So
I like that a lot. Yeah. It's interesting how you associate anxiety and pain with unfamiliarity, or being unfamiliar with a situation, because I feel like there is that emotional pain of not being an expert right now in this particular next thing. Like, and you don't like that feeling. No one likes that feeling. Like, oh, well, I don't know the perfect bracketing settings for my camera, or it's just a virtual tour analogy, or I don't know how to ask the right questions in a sales situation, or I don't want to be told no, so I'm not going to step forward and, pitch and ask for the sale. But those are painful things that once you do them one time, you go, oh, actually it was pretty easy. It wasn't too bad. So
sometimes it takes like 5 times. The first 4, it might be like, that was painful. That was really painful. But the thing is most people are like, oh, I mean, if you're in this business, which we're all in it, and I think everybody that's in this business right now is doing it for themselves, like it's their own business. They wouldn't be in it if they weren't going to be like, oh, that was an absolutely horrible feeling, and be like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. They're going to be like, okay, I'm never going to do that again because I'm going to figure out how to not. Yeah. So just remember that. Just remember that even Zach, even me, even all these people that you see that Zach does all the other videos on with the $10,000 and $100,000, they were like, I mean, you see some of them, they're like, dude, I didn't even know what I was doing. And,
yeah.
And it just fell into the lap. And we're going to be more critical of ourselves on our Facebook and the Facebook page, critical in a good way, than probably any of your clients are ever going to be. And I actually had to remind myself of that last night. Jack, as you know, I do a lot for the Habitat for Humanity. And so I wanted to do a really cool tour with him and put like a video of all the before and like a Star Wars type thing. And then it lists all the volunteers and some cool stuff. And they're like, no, we need it now, Heather. And I was like, oh, okay. 3 days, cool. So I threw it together and I shot it over to them, and they were like dumbfounded with how amazing it was.
Cool.
And if I put it on CloudPano, they'd be like, oh, Heather, the coloring's off. And why do you still have this here? And why didn't your guy just do this? And, hey, you could have done this better. And how about leveling these? And I'm like, dude, I know. Trust me, I know. This is, the level you do things at. This was a free thing. So I tried to minimize how much we spend on it. But they were blown away. And they're doing this huge Facebook thing on Monday with it. And I've been asked to help present the house to the new owner. And cool. I'm like, that's not my thing. So just remember that way more critical.
Yeah. So
probably your clients are going to be.
Yeah. For those that may not know the context of what she's referring to. So cloudpano.com, the virtual tour software, has a Facebook group called Virtual Tour Profit, where we help each other post tours we're doing, ask questions, cut it up, bring up ideas. And, you can post what you're doing there, what your latest, tour you've done. And what I think she's referring to is that there's this insecurity that if you post something that maybe it's not perfection, someone's going to tell you it's not perfection. And that's actually a very interesting thing because, well, first off, like, if the client loves it, who cares? It's all about the client loving it. That's just the end of the day. That's what it matters. Yes, a great product's important, but we do have the room to have the opinion about what great is, right? We have space there. It's not like one standard, right? So what's interesting about photography, kind of, I'm a digital marketer by trade. I'm learning photography. It's there is a endless well of optimization steps you can go dive into when it comes to a photo and making it perfect. And I think there's also an unhealthy depth you can go into that you spend too much time on those things. And that takes experience, right? And I think it's the wisdom is where folks can know what's good enough and then just, deliver the product, right? That's where the wisdom is. And at first we all feel like it's not good enough, but it's a normal thing. Like over time, like, oh, okay, the client loved it. And in your case, the Habitat Remain, for example, was free. Okay, cool. I'm moving on to the next thing, So,
but it took them saying, Heather, we need it right now, for me to be like, oh, okay, here you go. This is going to be out there. And they're like, hey, we've got this big, they're going to be using it here and there. So I get all nervous, my name's not on it anywhere, but if they mention it's not all that great and this and that. And then I'm like, but they loved it. And, it made them, my push was them pushing me to say, hey, we need it. There's no more time. And sometimes that's just how things work out.
True. That's a
So
good
don't
point.
beat yourself. I mean, yeah, don't beat yourself up. The new people that put it up there, great. I love you putting it up there. Understand that we as photographers are going to be way more critical than most of your clients, I think, are going to be. And you are going to get clients that understand this, but understand that as 360 tour providers, we only have to know this much more than our clients.
Yeah.
For them to need us and want us to help them for what we can provide for them. But I mean, everything I've seen up there has been good. Some people are like, hey, this is my first tour, and they get torn apart. And I was like, dude, they put the first tour up. What are we tearing them apart for?
Yeah.
Tear them apart nicely.
That's why I'm always very positive. Good job. Welcome. Happy you're here.
Yes.
Everyone's on a journey.
I mean, 99% of people are.
Yeah. Right. So, what's really nice about the technology in general is that it's not still photography in that once you deliver it, it's delivered, right? You can edit it, change it, make it better, swap out panos whenever you want to. That's actually a very unique product. Like most products are delivered and they have to, at that point in the business journey, like you hope the customer likes it. But in this case, you could say, hey, I can change this, by the way. What do you think? What's your any feedback?
So I actually have that program. I set up a program that was mainly for my retail, getting some more small businesses involved. And it's like I put it out there as like a holiday tour type of program where we'll come and you guys are going to go set up your stores as like the holiday. And why don't we take photos of that? Why don't I make a tour of that? Mind you, and then put it up, and then when the holidays are over, your set time, we go put your regular tour back up. And then in the niche that I'm in, that actually one of the management company presidents was like, well, can we, like, I want to shoot this portion of it, blah, blah, blah. We're doing a development. I've got two big ones that they're brand new developments. So we went in, and what I do is I do unit tours and then I do full property tours. Full property tours aren't available right now. Now the unit tours are, and some of the unit tours, I take that photo outside so they see what it looks like. Cause there's actually a doorbell on one of them. I don't know. I never want a doorbell in an apartment complex, but there's a doorbell. And so I was running them through it and I said, you know what, these two photos, which is the patio and the front door, you can see around the outsides, it's all construction going on. When the construction's done, when they've put in some of the landscape and they've done that other stuff, let's reshoot that. And I can just put that in. You don't have to recreate an entire tour. So for 50 or $100 or whatever, is in the contract, I'll go and reshoot whatever we need to reshoot. It's just those two photos, and boom, they get a brand new tour that gets put up. That's more now more live, or in this instance for property management, I know you've got a few people doing apartments. A lot of them will upgrade their units. So they will have maybe white, appliances in the kitchen, and then it goes to black, and then it goes to silver. They redo something. When that upgrade happens, that's your opportunity, and it should be written maybe in your contract. And if you don't really have a contract with them, let's say they're just a one-off, or you just have one apartment complex, put a little note to just, I always touch base with all of the ones that I have, the individual property managers, and then also the presidents or who's ever paying the bill, once a month, and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? By the way, here's some analytics for you. This is what this is what we've got done. Any changes you want to make? That's a great thing to say. Hey, have you done anything to any of your units? They're like, yeah, we just updated this one, but it's not in our show unit. And we're like, oh, that's fine. We can go and shoot that and just throw it in. It's not a big deal. If it's obviously the same unit plan. And that's what's really nice about the apartments, is because most of them have somewhere between 2 and 4 unit types, and they don't change all that much. Yeah. So you can shoot a different unit of that same type. But that's a bonus that I tell people. I was like, here, you can have it for your server. Here's the link. Oh, you want another tour in 6 months? We don't need to do an entire tour in 6 months. I either have it where we charge them, like I said, to go in and take the photos, or I have incorporated it into their hosting and maintenance fees.
Cool.
On a monthly basis. So.
Okay, so let's talk about these contracts you got. I want to hear the story, okay? Because this is, let's call it what it is. Get my notes out. So you get my notes out and write all this down. I like to take notes on these calls. All right, so here's the headline that I got. VTPS member and CloudPano member, Heather, sells a $200,000 project. Okay. Tell me about the story from the very beginning. Who you met, if you knew somebody, totally cool. You knew them, what happened, how the conversation went. Because actually this morning, before you start, we had a BTPS support call, and there's a lot of folks that are going to be leveraging their existing relationships, and they're getting so much fast traction in meetings because they're doing that. So those that are listening, if you have existing social equity, social assets, basically friends, if you have friends, use them. That's the first place you should go. Okay. So anyways, tell me about the story.
So yes, go to friends. My family laughs at me. My brother is a golf pro at a golf course, and he's like, pff. So the story is actually it was one of the property management companies we used with the REI, and I got to know the president pretty well. Actually, this is a president that we spoke, and this is how we actually started off. We're like, hey, this is what property management needs X, Y, Z. You know that. I was like, I know that. They don't even have Facebook pages, let alone, I mean, half of them don't like to work in IT, and this is all before COVID. And we know that, COVID has changed things. And while it's kind of even itself back out, it's still twice what we used to be doing before online. And so went back and forth, and I said I'd start it up. And so I kept throwing things at her, and hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, and so on and so forth. And then I just kept quiet for a while. And I'm like, let me see what's going on.
Time out. This is the REI president. This is the
president of the property management company.
Okay.
She and I were having the conversation. I knew her because she managed properties that was part of our REI.
Okay, got it. Okay, back from the previous job.
Back from the previous job.
Got it.
So I did have a connection.
Yeah.
And mind you, all of you are like, oh, we don't have that big connection. You have a connection. Somebody somewhere has a connection. They just don't even know that they need you. And that's how this was. So I decided to not talk to her for about 3 weeks about this in general. And I put a proposal together because I started going through, and I said, I went to apartments.com to see what apartments.com does. You kind of take a look. If you understand your niche, then you understand some of the problems that they were and possibly could face. Plus, you're going to also want to understand some of the resources that they utilize already to promote their company. And so I know apartments.com is huge. And so I went on there and I saw one of the apartments that she was managing, that their management company was managing, had a Matterport tour that was inside of apartments.com as like a unit tour. It was horrible. Sorry, but it wasn't, they didn't do any editing and things of that nature. And so I reached out. I was like, hey, I noticed you did that. Are you guys looking to do that for your whole property? And she's like, well, it's part of a package that apartment.com does. And so then we just got talking on how that, what it costs them to have it, and what are they seeing any, impact from it yet, and things of that nature. And so she explained the costs, and they were seeing, they were having some views, but they didn't understand, they couldn't right now show the conversions, there are, the ROI from it. And I was like, and I said, how often can you change it? So I asked some basic questions, like what you and I were just talking about. How much flexibility do you have? How much control of this tour do you actually have? And they're like, nothing. They came out, they charged us to shoot it, and then we have to have a certain hosting program or certain program with apartments.com. I assume it's an advertising program. I said, okay. And so then I know the management software that a lot of the companies use. We are all probably very familiar with it, even if you're not within the apartment community. You're familiar with like Yardi, Rent Cafe, AppFolio, things of that nature. And so then I just started talking to her about that and how that worked. And I was able to contact the bigger management software companies and ask them if they create, like some of them create the entire page because everything links to their leasing. So it creates like a landing page for the property. And then that links into all of their like maintenance requests and your, the tenant portal that they have where the tenants go on to pay their rent, and all the community events are inside of there. It's kind of like a Facebook group. It's like a social platform for the people of that community. and all of them stated that on the actual landing page and also within what they call campaigns, which is when they push out units to go live, that they're available, tours can be embedded in it. And it was at that point I said, cool, here we go. So we're talking now one property with 2 unit types is 3 tours at a minimum, if you think about it.
Because of amenities too.
I would. So what I've proposed to them is a property walkthrough tour. So it's as if your tenant or your prospect was going to come and do a full walkthrough. Some of the properties that this management company actually has are 2-3 hours away, and they're new developments, and the live feature is huge for that. They're actually setting up Facebook events saying that, you know, we're going to have 3 slots available at 10 a.m. on this day to do a walkthrough of the property, you know, register type of deal, you know, and then they send them out the link. And so I've helped them with I kind of did a full package, a full lease up package for them. But yeah, so it's a walkthrough. So you would see the amenities, you'd see kind of the whole walking tour that you would get if you were on the actual tour itself at the property, with the live feature included in it. And then the unit ones that go right into the campaigns.
Yeah. So that's 2 new developments or 3? How many is it for them?
There are a total of 3 new developments right now. Another one on the horizon. 2 more actually on the horizon. I just got an email stating that, hey, can we add another? Because I did a minimum number of properties in a certain amount of time, and a minimum number of unit tours in the contract. And if they don't hit that minimum, unless we do some type of change order, then they're going to go to a different pricing bracket type of deal. So they're like, hey, we have another one. And they saw what you did, because I did this over the edge event where we went, like, Habitat for Humanity went over the side of a building and rappelled. And by the way, guys, doing stuff for your community before you even make money, because I set this up before I even made a dime selling anything. It's just been pushed off because of the fires in this area. Has made me nervous. Has made me nervous because I don't know if I'm set for what's about to come my way in a really great way. And I know I will be set, but it's...
What do you mean? Give me some more. Help me.
City council lady and I went down the side of a building together. And I didn't know she was city council. And we were sitting there and we were jamming and we were having fun and so on and so forth. And I'm taking the pictures and we get to the bottom and she's like, so what are you using these for? So I give them to Habitat for Humanity. I'm going to make a cool video for them. They can use it for their sponsorship and their endowments and stuff like that. And you know, I was like, did you go, you know, so then I just asked her, I said, you going down, did you raise money just for Habitat for Humanity, or do you have like a company that's doing this? And she's like, it's just me, but I do sit on the city board, and you were taking pictures of the entire city, right? And I was like, yes. Mine's sitting at a city council meeting. And so that's now on the table in the next 30 days here for a 2021 full city tour with all that other stuff, which is...
What's the city?
It's a small city, but we're going to get a lot of people from Portland and Seattle coming in over the next 6 months, and it's a great pitch. So anyways, that's on the side. So we'll see if that happens. That's not happened yet. You know, people can say things and then another thing happens, but I've got a name, I've got a contact, and I've got a tour that I get to send her. So there's going to be interaction.
That's awesome. Before things start. Okay. So you roll through your development deal pretty fast. So I want to slow it down, break it down. I want to figure out how you price this thing. This is where people have the most stumbling blocks, because to you, you're throwing out contract and pricing and terms quick because you feel comfortable with it. Some folks don't. So let's pretend like I'm a warm puddle. I don't know nothing. Okay. I'm just like, hey, Heather, help me. Let's start with, you said you have, you said a full walkthrough, one walkthrough, whole lease up package for 2 new developments. How many units will you be shooting? I guess, what all are you doing? What's the actual deliverable, I guess? And how much is it? And then how much you priced it as well. That's what I really care about.
Right. That's what everybody cares about. So when people
Yeah.
ask that question, they're like, "Hey, I'm going to do this whole tour for $100." People are like, "Oh, that doesn't seem like it's enough." And I was like, if it's their first one and it's not getting it for free, then hey, boom, and it works. There's a case study for you, and that builds. You just spent $100 to learn, type of deal.
Yeah.
But I always tell them the same thing. We're business people, so think about if somebody was going to come to you and say, "You're good." Say, "Hey, Zach, can I do like a 360? What do you think would happen if we do like a 360 of you giving some big webinar and all your energy and stuff like that, whether it be a video or just a panel or something?" And you're like, "It seems crazy. It's just the inside of my, house." And so you ask them, "Well, are you having problems? What are your goals? Pretty much, what are your goals?" In a way, I didn't actually have to ask that question, because not on a large scale, because I know what the goals of property management is, and that's to keep butts in the seat and people paying their rent. And if any of us look back, we're all like, "Oh yeah, we know that." Exactly, you do. And you probably know a lot more about your niche, or you might not even know what niche to choose. So I would say to you, choose one that if you give them a tour and they sell a car, they've paid for the next 50 tours, type of deal. But you understand what they're going to be making. It might take them 3 sales. Hey, you've got to tell them, you've got to understand their business. So understand their business before you go and put the pricing out there. Was I confident about the pricing? You're like, "Yeah, I'm throwing it around." Hell no, I was not. I still question myself at times. I still am like, "Ooh, what am I doing?" My maintenance and hosting fee, it was really cool because, I gave it to
How
them.
much was it?
I only charged them $25. I'm regretting that right now. Now, but you're talking $25 for a month, so $300 and whatever dollars a year. People that do math quick, but you have to understand that out of the properties, just the new developments that are coming, there are a total of, so those 3 that are online or getting online here in December and January, there's going to be 3 full property tours. They're all right around the same size. So I actually, some of the properties will not get property tours. Some of them will, but I price the property tours right around $1,000 a tour. If people want to get actual numbers. So, I hate when people do these interviews and you don't know the numbers. So $1,000 a tour, I don't mind. I'll tell people. And then the unit tours, regardless of the size of the unit, were $400 a unit.
Gotcha.
Now, each one of those tours, which most properties at minimum is 3, so one property is $75 a month. You think about it, $25 per tour.
Gotcha.
Most of the interior units, you're not going to be doing multiple photos, retakes of them. These developments I will be, because I actually tell them, "I'm going to want to come out and retake this. It's going to look better for you. It's not going to cost you anything more because it's already built in." Once again, this is why I'm like, "Ooh, that $25 pricing." And then they're like, "Hey, we're going to decorate for Christmas." And I'm like, "Ooh, yep, it's included in your hosting and maintenance." Sometimes that happens, but the 75, and then they have a minimum of 30 properties that they have to do with me. Right now we've got by March, but guys, I just moved from Arizona up north, and I forget that March is cold and snow still here. So I will be extending it, because the property tours that we're going to want to do, we're going to want to wait for spring. So I will put my own extension on that form. But originally I had between November 1st or October 15th, whatever day the date was, through the end of March, because that's normal leasing season before COVID, that all these tours had to be done. So we were going to have minimum of 3 times 30. So 900 tours at $25 a tour online as of April 1st.
You
And
mean
that's
90,
a minimum.
90
Did I
tours.
say 900?
Yeah, you said
90 tours.
Yeah. So you're good. No, I'm just making sure. So 3 units. So you have 30 apart. Yeah, minimum. So 30 locations, 3 units per location, $25 per unit. Okay, that's pretty good. I like that. That's great. Because you're like, you're leading with hosting maintenance. Like this is what's so beautiful about this, right? So you're throwing on hosting and maintenance, and you're letting them choose how many units they want to end up throwing in there. So if they don't hit that 90 number, well, I guess 30 properties. So it's almost 30 days. I see it as 1 day on location, but you can probably do 2 days if you want to. 30 location. If they don't hit it by that date, what happens to the price? Triples?
I can do 3 a day.
You do 3 a day?
because
okay.
because they're close. I mean, now there's one that's way out, like 2 hours away. So that one there makes up for the ones that I can do 3 a day, because that's a whole day to take one unit type of deal, because they're in the middle of construction. So I just did a virtual staging for them, which I'm not a huge fan of right now. And the guy that I've got doing it's really good. But and I'm sorry, what was your question, Zach?
My question was, what's the price go to if they don't hit that amount, that 30 different locations by the period of time? I'm just curious.
75 a month per tour.
Okay, gotcha. So they're
because they are being allowed. Yeah, they're incentivized to do it. I don't think it'll change. My 75 was in case the president left and the next person came on and they were like, "Oh, we don't want to do this," and I'm like, "All right, that's fine, but here's the difference in the billing." That was more. Because like I said, we've added another one. Today I got an email and they're like, "Hey, we've got a new construction. Here's all the architectural design for it. First of all, can you do us some rendering?" That's part of like a lease up package that we put together for them. Now, properties that aren't doing lease up, so regular properties, one of them has 6 units.
Six
units, 4 buildings. They might want to do 2 property tours because they feel that one would be too long for people to walk through and to go through. And I was like, yeah, but if you embed it, that's like, if you get your own, depending on how they want to do the idea is that it keeps them on the website, and I'm like, that's what you want. You want us to get up in your logo. So if it takes them 10 minutes to go through this and they stand for 10 minutes and then they leave it on because they forget to turn it off and they come the next morning, they've just been on and your bounce rate just decreased by, 15%. Cool. So
look at you, SEO expert. Cool.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But I guess I just like you're learning fast. You're learning fast. So you had 30. So they have 30 properties in this package, and I say properties, 30 locations. They added 2 more recently. And what's the total? I mean, not just counting all the. I understand there's more units than there is. There's not just 3 units per property. So it's like 90 right now. They add 2 more locations. One has 6. So you're over 100 different quote unquote units. Right. So that's $2,500 a month right there. I'm just thinking about the monthly, so we're at, I don't know what the number is annually, but anyways.
Mind you, if the next property management company I get will not be at $25 a month.
Yeah. You're going to increase the price.
Yes. It's going to be 50 at a minimum with 30 units.
Cool. Well, so we got 25 a month, we got 100 units. So it's $100 a month. Yeah, I'm doing the math right now. So you make, just by that structure and go out, you add $30,000 a year to the revenue with just that one customer, that one property manager. That's really cool.
And that's just the monthly fees, right?
That's just monthly fees. Yeah. So then what's your setup fees for all this? So you said $1,000 per walkthrough and $400 per unit.
Between $1,000 to $1,200. I think it averages out. Let's just say $1,100 is what the average is, because a couple of the properties are huge. They're like 800-900 unit properties. So we have to do more, like they have to drive their clients, their new prospects to the units. So we've got to get some drones in there and stuff like that. So 1,100 right now, say for 32 properties for the property tours. They have to have 30, and then $400 per unit.
So what do you think how many units would be the average, or how many units you think you end up doing? Or you probably had it in the contract.
One of the properties is 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I did 2 because they've got some small, but I'm gonna say the average is more like 3. I think it was like 3.7 as I started looking at the true numbers.
Okay, cool. So so then we got $400 per unit, multiplied by 3.7. That's what we're gonna say. $400.
3.7 times 30 and then 400.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm over here doing, calculations.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't.
I'm sure nobody wants to. So wait, let's make sure I don't mess it up. People are going to watch this. I'm going to be judged. So we got We have 32 locations with an average of 3.7 units per location. And we're going to multiply that by $400. So we're going to add $47,000 just in unit setup fees. I love it. Okay, so monthly recurring revenue, we have $35,200. Oh, I'm sorry. So here's I have my 1,100 times 32 areas. So that's my $1,100 is my property tours. So that's $35,200. My unit shooting at a 3.7 units per location is $47,360. So I'm trying to get total numbers here. And then plus I got whatever the hosting was I mentioned before. I think it was like $30,000.
Yeah, it was a little over 30,000 a year.
Okay, cool. So what's cool about that is that's yearly. So you do this project one time, you're over 70, maybe what is it, $80,000 in setup fees, and plus the extra $30,000 in hosting fees. It's just one customer. So you got two customers like this. Tell me the next story. So I like this a lot. Cool.
So the next story isn't quite as big. Okay, so let's mind you on this. So this customer is property management. We're only talking the residential portion of it.
Okay.
They have commercial buildings.
Okay.
So the commercial buildings are $250 a month.
Really?
In hosting fees.
Ooh, you didn't tell me that before.
That's because I didn't really get, I got the confirmation in the email today that we're going to go with it, and they haven't signed the contract, but the email came, and as we all know, that can be binding, but, sure. and then it is, here's the deal, guys, this next pricing, I have zero clue where I stand with this. And if I'm even going to enjoy it at 25 cents a square foot.
Okay. Interesting. So that's your setup fee.
It would be I call it the one-time fee. And people are going to say, well, what are you doing about the outside? And so I do have a caveat in there that they get 2 outdoor photos. And if they want more than that, then it's $150 a photo.
That's great. Well,
and there is something we did miss.
Okay.
Google Street View, which comes with the Pro Plus platform.
Yep.
If they want that, it is even for the properties, for each Google Street View is $50.
Cool.
More. And most of them are like, hey, we want to have each unit up and the property tour. And I'm like, you don't need, okay. I mean, if you want it, just understand you don't necessarily need it, but sure, that's an extra $150, one time. So there isn't a caveat for how many of those they have to have, but, and for the, so that's for the residential. So for the commercial, the Google Street View is $199 in addition to the tour. I know that people are like, oh, but it just comes with it. You're absolutely right, it does. And how many of you were like, how do I do this? Until Zach went and put your thing out yesterday or today, whenever you guys watched it, showing how to utilize it. And I was like, oh, that's what that box is for up there. And then you're like, oh, which way's north? Yep. Guess what, guys? If you aren't the one that is actually taking the photos, how are you going to do that? What is your process for ensuring that those photos are north so you can kind of figure it out? Because the last thing you want to do is be banned from Google Street View because you're putting stuff up that's wrong. So yeah, sorry, I went through that kind of fast. I don't know if it can happen.
How many commercial properties are in this contract as well for this?
The commercial properties we're going back and forth on. I put 100 and they're like, we have over 2,000. And I was like, okay, well, give me a number. Like the 100 was low. So it's back in their court. Like if you want to have more, I'm cool with more. I said a minimum of 100. You want to say a minimum of 1,000? All right. I'm not going to say anything for that. So that's a commercial side of this. I haven't gotten the signed contract, but those are the numbers that I gave them. And like I said, I don't know if 25 cents a square foot is good or not. I hate doing the square foot things. And by the time we're done with the contract, I might actually change it because I'm like, I don't want to trust anybody else's square footage. I don't.
It becomes a math conversation that you don't need to have when are you taking it with the Z1 or what's your hardware?
Z1.
Okay, cool. So those out there that are wondering, like, how do I, really make, the tech work? You get your Z1, you go out and you find the right client and you negotiate just like Heather does because she knows what she's doing. That's really cool. So this is a good example. Oh man, like I love this so much. It's like, they just have this large portfolio It's post-COVID. They need to market it. They know that they have the asset that is Heather. They look at you as an asset. They're saying, hey, she can do it. She's great to work with. She's responsive. She communicates really well. She'll get it done for us. And that's compounded so fast for you. Like, I'm just really surprised. So are you getting resources to help you physically go shoot these? Because you can't be the one-man band. It's just no way, right?
So I did take, so I do have a 17-year-old daughter that is right now, we're still in school at home. So sometimes she has a phone with school on it and she's out with me, but I've taught her how to do them. And she loves, first one, she's like, no, I don't want to teach you how to do it. And then she sends me a message and she's like, you going to pay me? And I was like, of course I'll pay you. I'm training you. You going to get me a coffee? And I'm like, of course I'll get you a coffee. And now she's like, who are we doing this week? Where do I have to go? And so I have a whole process set up. And I have emails that go out to the clients also, so they know who the photographer is going to be. Photographers on that, email / Google it's Google Invite or whatever calendar program they use, and all the information. And as I told you, Zach, I'm moving. So actually where I'm moving into, because we just moved up here and I found a house and I'm literally going crazy. But that'll actually be more fun because I have a whole front area of my new home that's just for the office. So it'll be kind of cool. I actually have some like 5K TVs ordered and some fun stuff. But so for the photography, I'm also looking into, like, you had that thing from Alabama up on Facebook. Guys, I literally sent the thing from Alabama to Gonzaga and they called me up right away. I was like, I almost copied almost word for word exactly what you put in there. I was like, dude, if these guys are doing it for basketball, and they're like, yeah, okay, we need this. Heather, when can you come in? And I was like, oh, dude, I was expecting not to answer my emails. I didn't even know if I had the right ones. So I haven't done all the tips and tricks. Like, I know all the tips and tricks that you've given us and all the niches and how to go through and how to put that out. And that overwhelms me at times as far as the campaigning. I know I need to do it and I want to get that process done because I don't want to work in my business. I want to work on my business. And you guys have already heard, or you heard that I've got, all my photo editing is Upwork, or there's a few people that people have recommended within the group that are doing some good work. But I want to go down to like 6 people that I really like because, I don't need to spend an hour, 2 hours on the day going back and forth because somebody doesn't understand, how to virtual stage or how to do something like that.
That's right.
I want to mention one thing for these guys too. So this is, without going into the other contract, which is very similar to the one we have here, except for it's real estate. And we'll touch real quick on that one. But what I'm also doing is within the tours, because these are units, guys, and their properties, all these properties have a list of resources for their new tenants. And here's where to go to eat. And here's the flower shops. And here's the coffee shops. And I've asked them, do they want those links in their tours? Because it'd be really great for their tenants, their current tenants, because they want to look at it too. To be like, oh, I can't remember how to get there. And they go in and they see the information. They either get the phone number. And yesterday I sent out emails to all those places saying, hey, would you like to be featured on a virtual tour? It's going to get probably close to 2,500 clicks a month, and depending on the features that you want to be in the tour, it's going to cost you $25 to $100 a month, which you and I know is crap money to these companies. I mean, that's advertising for $100 for 2,500 clicks, to be in front of people. And I was like, well, maybe if I get one, that'll be kind of cool. Let's see what happens. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. I have to find an advertising contract now. They want to do like 6 months. How can we get on there? Hey, can you come in and do a tour of our place? We don't have it. So there's little things that if you get it, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, guys. And Zach, you and I first started, and I kind of said this to you, like, I've got the problem of, I think I got people that want this. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there is a learning, but just stay confident and keep your eyes open for what other people are doing, or keep your eyes open for you as a business person. If you had this, would you want to be hosted in the, would you want to be in the tour? You're taking photos, even if it's for yourself, go ahead and send that link over to the whomever you think might utilize it. I mean, if they laugh at you, or I got a whole bunch initially that was like, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. And those no thanks are like, hey, Heather, what do you do? Hang on, you're working with this property management company? Can you sit in and tell my board how to do it? And I've got this storage. I've got one, and that was set up cater. I mean, I was just like, wow. I am very, very grateful
Mm-hmm.
for this down windfall, and this is where I get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good nervous, but this is, I don't want to miss any processes. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to drop the ball anywhere. Do I need to set up a VA? Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need, what do I need to do for my actual business versus for the other people?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and guys, you might be asking yourself that when you create a web page and stuff, and or you create this, you do that. And somebody was like, hey, I'm not doing a web page until my Facebook gets up there. Do I have more products and such? There's a new guy that's on the virtual tour Facebook page saying that, and he's just doing Facebook. And I'm like, dude, that's fine. The key is just you look good when they click on you, and you look professional. Whether you use whatever you use, you look professional, and you look better than whatever your competition is in your area,
Mm-hmm.
or at least as good as it. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
It's
cool.
scary though. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like you're at the stage now in your business where it's time to get resourced with human capital. So you're just gonna, I mean, you got the contracts, right? You got the busyness, you got the work. Figure out, who the best people is to bring on board alongside you. Train them, show them your processes, show them what you're doing step by step. You can very much outsource. Well, that's why I have everything on. That's why I get everything on online tools in BTPS. I want you to get set up online so that when your admin swoops in, they can just follow the videos that you make. Just follow the step, follow the step, follow the step, and all of a sudden they're doing it, and they're scheduling out your photographer for you, and they're sending invoices for you, and you're watching it from the top. Now you're not watching it. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. But
Yeah,
I'm not in it. I'm working on it.
that's right. Because you just have a knack for getting customers. Let's just call it what it is. You're creating what's called points of interest.
I don't knock on wood, because
Yeah, well, the monthly fees alone is going to keep you in business for a long time. So, I mean, you're leveraging apartment complex tours to nearby retailers to as what we call points of interest in the real estate world. What's nearby? What's the point of interest? It's a
right.
common phrase. You're leveraging those and then saying, hey, I'm gonna have a lot of people that are going to be moving this area who are going to want to buy your stuff. What do you think? People don't always think that way, but what you have, I think one of your superpowers is empathy. It's just the ability to think like the customer thinks and like their customers think. So thinking deep layers in, and then your ideas are flowing out of that, which is really cool. You should be like really proud of that because I love all the stuff you're saying.
I need somebody to pick them up though. I need somebody to pick them up and run with them.
Wait, hold on. Is that a logo on your sweatshirt? Are you worried about it?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I actually have a hat. Well, here, look. So I went this weekend, and I lost all my hats. I'm down to this one hat. I had a dozen hats made, and every single one of the volunteers from this weekend at the Habitat for Humanity thing. No, they come to me and they're like, Heather, somebody took my hat. And I was like,
that's a cool hat. I like it. Trucker hats are cool. That's how we got some too. That's awesome. Hey, listen, I'm real proud of you. Real happy for your story. Real happy for your success. And what's funny is like you invested a small amount of money into your business, whether it was the CloudPano or VTPS or your camera, and then you went out and sold these customers. I think you sold them probably first. You probably knew beforehand, and then you came to us, got resourced, and now you're just going out there and doing it and probably having a lot of fun. I can guess you're having some fun. Is it a fun time?
Absolutely. I mean, I just got to rappel down the side of a building, taking 360 photos. Like you look online, so and there's only one of those. I had the camera on my head. I made a little rig the camera on my head. Scared as I'm like, oh, this camera falls, and I know they're not in stock anywhere. That's gonna be funny. But yeah, I took photos like from the top all the way down. I might make that one public just for the heck of it, so everybody can see it. Maybe put it out because I'm not doing much editing with that probably. But
yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to have fun but you're not going to every day. And you're not going to be motivated every day. And you're going to be really scared that the contract you just put out is too high or too low. Mm-hmm. And it probably will be. But a great thing in business is if you're not completely happy and they're not completely happy with the contract, neither one of you got exactly what you want. It was probably a really good deal. It probably fell somewhere in the middle, mm-hmm. and both people are going to be okay with it. But
cool.
And for the real estate, the only difference with that is the dude that I went with, the guy that I have, he does property management. He does commercial also. So the same type of deal. It's much smaller than the company I'm with now. So did things a little bit different, charged him a little bit more. He took it, he didn't negotiate. He even knew what I gave the other people, so he wasn't complaining. And but he's a big, hey, 1% listing fee, 1%. I'll list your house for 1%. So I actually went. I was like, hey, Dave, you're gonna list your properties for 1%. I'm gonna do your tours for 0.1% of the listing, the original listing fee. And he thought that was great. And then he just was like, hang on, one of those tours is gonna cost me like $1,100. I was like, it's a luxury home. You're fine. You're fine. I said, one of those tours is going to cost you $300. So you know what? That's so we did it that way.
Cool.
It's just so, but I think, cool. Like I said, you communicate, your team is fun. I mean, John, he'll hear little crazy things from me all the time. And sometimes it's double and I'll be like, oh shoot, I just said this yesterday. Whoops. Cause I needed something, okay. But, communication and staying communicative and being just real with your customers. Like that is the biggest thing when somebody's like, hey, Heather, I saw this. Can you do it? And I was like, I'm sure I can. I've never done it before. What type, do you want to give me time to do it? Or, hey, Heather, like I did ask and think, hey, is there a way to, once somebody clicks, and this is for the advertisers. Now, this is why I asked that question on Facebook page. Once they click on a link from within the tour, how do I track that? How can I show the advertisers that they're getting, So that stuff I'm very a novice. I'm yellow, but I feel yellow about just about taking the photography and all this other crazy stuff.
But it hasn't stopped you at all. That's my favorite part.
It's not gonna.
See, you can't let being new stop you. Like that's just so many folks are trying to be an expert first, then they go get their first customer. It takes them 2 years to be an expert. It's just, you're just kicking the tires. You're just scared. Let's just call it what it is. I'm scared sometimes. I get it. But homegirl is about to go sell Gonzaga after she sells a big old project. Like, come on, like, let's just go sell, go talk to them, email, send it out. What's the deal?
I mean, most of the people doing this, I'm going to say you're probably like a 70-30, 70% of you are male, and, 30% I see of women on there, maybe not that, or at least that communicate on the Facebook page. So that's all I can go off of. So most of you guys, and even the females, you've played sports. So go do that. Like, if you didn't know how to do some move and you didn't know how to get around some player, or if you played football, coaches like basketball is a great one. I've got this thing up on the, I had it in my office, but it had, I can't remember, goofy comic strip, and the kid standing there, big baggy clothes. I think he was like I don't even know what type of creature he was. He's standing at the foul line and he's like, it's okay if I don't make this. I tried my hardest. And then you get the next thing where the coach is like, come on, Willis, don't you miss this. The whole team's counting on you. And he's like, oh, dude, okay, I got to make this, So it's a mindset. It's totally a mindset. And go out there and be cocky and be humble and
both.
Worry a little bit about what you said after you're done. Like, oh, did I say the right things? Did this, did that? And then say, you know what, you can't change it. So just
cool.
And you can be an expert in your field, and it takes you 2 years. And by that time, this is IT. First of all, this is IT. As long as CloudPano continues to grow, we're going to continue to grow. And you have features and it does things, because there's things you don't do. You see people ripping you apart at times, because it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't. It other things do, but they don't have what CloudPano has. So check the boxes where you want to check the boxes. But this is IT. Every single one of us should wake up and be like, okay, what did I miss in the last 8 or 10 hours that I just slept or didn't look online? Seriously, what did Facebook do? What can or can't we do now? It used to be the fact that we get a computer and 3 months later it was out of date. So that's why we all have Macs now. We can at least have them for a few years. But, and those of you that don't have Macs, I'm sorry. But, just do it. Literally do the night. That's a crazy thing. I know I'm a coach, but if you don't expect more out of yourself, you can expect it, and then to not do it is only setting yourself up for failure. It's like setting your alarm at 6 o'clock in the morning and then hitting the snooze button 50 times. Why don't you just set your alarm for 7 a.m., But do it or don't do it, guys. Fail. I'm going to fail. Like something might not go through here. I might bomb the city thing. Somebody else might come in, another photographer in the area might be like, oh, I saw what you were doing. I can do the same thing. And they might have more expertise than I do. These are all out of your control. So just do what you can do and control what you can control.
I like it. You can coach me anytime, Heather. Okay. If I need some motivation, I'm just going to call you.
And like, that sounds good as long as you can answer my IT questions.
Yeah. We got a support email, support@cloudpano.com.
Thanks. Okay, my sales questions.
Yeah. You're surprised how many people I have to send to support. But hey, listen, thanks for your time. I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy for your contracts and the stuff to come. Keep posting them. I want to see that side of the building tour on the virtual tour private Facebook page. And for those out there who don't already know it, cloudpano.com is the world's best 360 virtual tour platform. If you want to have a live video chat call on your 360 environment, you got to check out CloudPano. It's easy to use, one click away. It's a low monthly fee. Come on, I'm done with the advertisement. Oh, one more thing. If you haven't figured it out yet, BTPS, the Virtual Tour Profit System, is our business development program. We have a lot of fun there. Thursday calls, group coaching environment, great training. Learn how to do what Heather did. Okay, join us. We want you inside. I'll send some links below the video. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being a member of our group. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see you.